All right, so good afternoon, Lauren. How are you today?
I'm well. How are you, Bill?
I'm doing very great today. Thank you very much for joining me. And for those of you that are watching, thank you for checking out this extra credit opportunity and for taking some time to learn a little bit more about different career opportunities out there. Just to introduce what this is all about, my name is Bill Stark, and I'm a business education teacher at War Hill High School. And this is the very first in a series of conversations that I'll be hosting and recording about different careers in business, marketing, finance, and other related fields. So here today with me is my guest, Mrs. Lauren Duguay Jordan. She is a successful real estate agent here in Williamsburg, and she's here to talk about careers in real estate. So Lauren, thank you again for joining us. Could you go ahead and just please start by introducing yourself and telling us about what it is that you do?
Sure. Yes, I am Lauren Duguay Jordan. I am a realtor and associate broker here at Long and Foster in Williamsburg. So what I do is predominantly residential real estate, but I also have a concurrent license in commercial real estate, and that's with Hamner Development Company based out of Newport News. So I can we'll outline a little bit of the differences throughout the call, but I basically work residentially. So I help people buy and sell homes and also investment property, and also can help with the full custom build experience. So a lot of different facets of the business.
That is awesome. And we'll get to a little more about that later, some of the specific details of what you do with your business. What I'd like to know for now, though, I guess to start us off, is if you could tell me and tell the audience about the path that you took to get to where you are today. So how did you get into this field?
I got into this field. I kind of knew about the field because my father is a custom home builder. So kind of grew up going to Parade of Homes and knowing agents that he's worked with for many years. So I graduated from Lynchburg College with a major in communications, journalism, and PR. And then I went off to Arlington and had a sales job selling public relations management software. So from there, I wanted to move back home to Williamsburg just for family things. My sister had 2 kids, so I moved back home, started working for a developer in town, and they built a few different complexes in the area. So I was doing accounting for them and started sitting site for them from the builder on the weekends, which you don't need a full real estate license for if you're working directly for a builder.
Okay.
But then they said, let's go ahead and get you your license, because I started to kind of handle the site for them a bit more. So that evolved. I got my real estate license. So you take, different licensing courses, get your license, and then hang it with a brokerage. And I know I might be getting ahead of myself a little bit, but nonetheless, I had my license with them, and then wanted to stop doing kind of a routine position such as accounting. You're going in doing the same thing every day. My personality kind of yielded better to the real estate world because it's different every single day. And I'm essentially the CEO of my business. So I handle all of the finances, all of the lead generation, all the communication with my clients, paperwork, all the logistics in between. So the ability to do 20 different things at a time really appealed to me. And it's part of the reason why I'm successful, is because I can do a lot of different things at one time and like the challenge of every day being different.
So that's really cool. And it sounds like you had a lot of different business experience from working for a marketing firm, it sounded like, and then you mentioned doing some accounting and doing all these different things, and that kind of putting that all together into operating your own small business. And I guess this is a question that maybe ties into that a little bit. And this comes from one of my students, Ashley. So Ashley, thank you for submitting the question. Ashley wanted to know, how, if at all, did your degree in journalism and communication, how does it help you currently in your career?
I have to write and communicate, obviously, effectively with my clients on a daily basis, whether that's, actually relaying a message, say from a lender, and explaining that to a common person that doesn't necessarily know all the legal logistics, what have you, of a lender. So transferring information so that people can understand it. So PR and journalism. And also the communication factor, you have to advertise to everyone. So you have to be able to explain, different benefits of a home and have everything appeal to someone in a very short sentence, if you will. So like we do property flyers, and I really just have a paragraph to give you all the information about a house. So the PR comes into play because you're learning how to use snippets of information for a compact expression of something. So meaning journalism and PR, you have to be very clear and concise with what you're saying, and you don't have a lot of time to convey that message. So that really was very helpful in my day-to-day, because I often have to write facts about houses and, you know, just explaining things to people. So it helps.
Excellent. That was really useful to know, and I appreciate you supporting everything that us business teachers try to tell our students all the time, that communication is so very important, to be the ability to convey information to a wide range of audiences clearly and directly. So thank you for supporting us on that.
No problem.
Yeah. So the next question I have for you is, are there certain requirements to get into the field of real estate, to become a realtor? There's a couple of students asked us, like, hey, I've heard you don't necessarily need a college degree to get into that field. What are the education, licensure, and other sort of requirements to get into the real estate field?
Sure. So to get your real estate license, you do not have to have a college degree. So I have a bachelor's degree from Lynchburg, but many people don't. Many very successful agents don't have that. I find that most people nowadays, like I'm a younger agent, so I'm 32, which is a younger age to be a realtor. So most people are doing it kind of as a second career. You know, they've come out of finance, or they've come off Wall Street, or whatever they were doing, and started it as a second career. For me, it was a first career. So what you have to do is you just take a pre-licensing class. So it's it can be a night course, or you can do it online. And there's a specific classes you have to take. So once you take all of that, then you sit for your license exam, and then that's called your PSI. Once you get your license, then you can go to a brokerage, like for instance, Long and Foster, and interview with the managing broker and hang your license there. You have to hang your license under a brokerage company. And then once you select that, you're off to the races. So there's, you know, a lot that goes into it in terms of startup costs and things like that, but you really just have to do your pre-licensing classes, take your PSI exam, and then once you do that, you're an agent. Once you hang it, once you decide what company you want to work for.
That is wonderful. Thank you for sharing. And I have another question from one of my students here. This comes from Janari, who actually says that she wants to become a real estate agent herself someday when she graduates high school.
Okay.
What Janari wanted to know is, how long did it take for you to get your realtor's license? And then I'll add on a little follow-up, I guess, for that is, if you had one bit of advice for her or for any other student that was considering getting their license, what would that advice be?
Well, in terms of the time it takes to get your license, it's just however quickly you can take the courses. So usually it's a span, it's a program, say over 3 months, because often it's scheduled for already working adults, and this is kind of the second type of thing. But you can do everything online as well. So say it takes you 2 months to take the courses, and then you sign up for your exam. So within 3 months, you have your license, but you have to wait for the state to send it to you. And you do have to take a national and a state exam, but it's all kind of at the same time. Once you have your license, you're off and running. So you'll be good to go there. And then what was the first part of that, Bill?
Yeah, the other part was, if you had a piece of advice for any student trying to get their realtor's license, what would you recommend to them?
Sure. Okay. So there are a lot of fees that go into real estate, and I think that's something that not a lot of people are aware of. So you have to pay for all the licensing classes, but then once you actually have your license, you have to join all these different memberships. So we have different multiple listing systems, which is where we input our information about a house. So you have to pay for that. You have to pay to be a member of an association. So those are the kind of fees that you have to be aware of. So a couple $100s there. So I would say you need some savings. And most of the time, everyone will need a second job. So not everyone, sorry, my light just went off in my office.
That's okay.
Not everyone will make a sale in the first week. You're probably not going to make a sale in the first week. So real estate very much functions, I say, about on a 3 months out. So whatever I'm doing today is going to close in 3 months. And that's if I have people very motivated to buy and to sell. So meaning my lead generation, my showing property, open houses, things like that. By the time I find them a house, get them committed to that house, go through inspections, and they close on their loan, that portion takes 30 to 90 days.
Yeah.
So it's something that you have to have some kind of income coming in. And, if you're right out of high school, still living with your parents, maybe that's a great time to start because they can help you. But you're going to have funds coming in to pay for all the fees to get started.
Very good. Thank you. And I heard you had mentioned the stuff about lead generation, which that makes sense to me. But for some of the students that may be listening, could you explain what that is? And I had another student, Connor, who asked a question about that. Was how does it work for you with finding customers? Do they come to you? Do they come through the brokerage? How do you market yourself?
Sure. So it's a blend, and you have to have a lot of different feelers out there and to diversify the way you're getting your leads. So I'm a small business. So as a realtor, you are a small business. There's lots of different types of real estate and things like that. So it can certainly be different. But for me, I'm a small business. So I'm what they call a 1099 employee. Therefore, I only get paid on commission. So I only get a check when I close on a house. That's the only way I get paid. Long Foster doesn't pay me as an employee. I don't have any employee benefits. I pay my own health insurance, everything. So that's something you certainly have to be aware of, that function, because there's really no job security with real estate. You have to be a self-starter because it is all on you. The company sure will send, a couple leads to you, what have you. Some companies are structured differently and they send you all the leads. I focus my business on being a business based on referral. So for instance, you and I, Bill and I, know each other because we do CrossFit together. And then that led you to ask me, and that's how you know I'm a realtor, is from my advertising with the different events at CrossFit. So that's a direct referral. So, and that's the best type of business that you can get in real estate, is a referral from someone you've done business with before. Like, here, please help my sister because you sold my house, or you know me personally, and now you're like, you also help me buy a house because you trust me and we can move forward. So I focus my business on that. But as a small business owner, I'm putting every dollar out that I do in my marketing. So postcards to whenever I have a listing, postcards to the neighborhood, postcards to my sphere of influence, which is the people in my network. So my friends, my family, people that I've sold property to, lenders that I work with. And you're constantly touching base with them. So calling them, sending them notes, pop by items, hosting events, just to say, I'm in real estate, let me help you. If you have anyone you know who needs to buy or sell a house, please let me be that resource for you. So you have to learn how to ask for leads, which is quite difficult. And you have to learn how to navigate that system and be very diverse with, say you're doing newspaper advertisements, you're doing Facebook, Instagram, things on Snapchat, face-to-face, taking people to lunch, hosting events. So that's what lead generation means to me. And it certainly would be different to a lot of different people. But keeping it as a small business, it's all on me to produce business for myself.
Excellent. So yeah, what I'm gathering there is that it's a lot about the connections that you make, spending a lot of time reaching out to people, and then also putting yourself out there through marketing and advertising and things like that. It's a lot of work. That being said, what are your favorite parts about the job? What do you love about it? And then what are maybe some of the more frustrating parts of the job?
The part I love about it is the people connection. I mean, you get to know people on a very genuine level, and you're helping them with major life transitions. So buying or selling a house is the biggest transaction anyone's going to do in their lifetime. It's a lot of money. It's a lot of pressure. So you really get to know people very well, but it's wonderful, for instance, to see people transition out of a different stage of their life. So you're going from a young adult to buying your first house. It's a lot of responsibility. And most people are so proud of that. So it's really cool to be a part of that. Whereas you have people transitioning from, they had their whole family live in this house for 15 years, 20 years, and now it's just the husband, and he has to sell the house, and he's moving on to Florida to, enjoy being in retirement. So, huge life transitions. So you really become very close with people. And that's the best part. And you're a resource to them. It's such a positive experience most of the time. So you just get to really get to know people really well.
Well, that's excellent. And you had mentioned that this is absolutely, it's the biggest purchase that most people will make in their lives is buying
Mhm.
a home. And
Mhm.
the next question I have then is maybe less tied to a career discussion and more for
Mhm.
some of my students who are taking my personal finance class.
Mhm.
What advice would you recommend for young adults? So a lot of these kids are juniors and seniors in high school. What advice would you recommend to them about preparing to buy a home someday?
The best thing I could say is to establish credit. That's the number one thing with first time home buyers is that they don't have any credit history. So what I mean by that is if you don't have a credit card, for instance, you could potentially go out and get a credit card and have your parents co-sign with you or have them on the card with you. You are starting at the line of credit. Okay. So it's the length of time is what's helpful to your credit score, which obviously when you're 18, you might not ever, like, I didn't think I had a credit card till I was 20. So you have, and even now when I look at my credit score, it says, not a long credit history and it's been 8, 10 years.
Yeah.
So just to give a little perspective there. So get a credit card. It can have a very low balance. Don't go crazy with it because that's certainly not the point. The most important thing with a credit card is that you pay it off every single month and that you pay on time. If you miss one payment, that can really hurt your credit. But establishing credit is very important, along with obviously saving some money. First-time homebuyers don't generally need 20% down, which is a common misconception. You generally need about 3% down, which is 3% of the purchase price, which is very helpful. And there are a ton of different first-time homebuyer programs that can help with that first purchase. But I would say establishing credit history is number one, the most important. But talk to your parents about that before you go off and just get a credit card.
No, well, I really appreciate you sharing that. And we have not yet gotten into establishing credit within that class, but it is something very important. And it's a very huge component of understanding personal
Mhm.
finance and this crazy idea that, oh, you actually have to go into debt a little bit to prove that you
Right.
pay your way out of debt.
Mhm.
So good. We will talk about that later in our class, and I will gladly reference what you brought up here. I may even share a video clip of that.
Okay, cool.
Um, but the last question that I have, and this is going back to the career stuff, and this is something that I plan to ask everyone who I talk to in these discussions, is just do a little fill in the blank for me. Fill in the blank for this sentence with as many words as you'd like. A high school student who is blank might be successful and might want to consider a career in real estate.
Self-starter, motivated, independent. The most important part of that, I would say, is a self-starter. It's very unique when you own your own business, knowing that you have to supply everything for yourself. So I could easily not get out of bed and just sleep the day away, but that's got nothing that will not help my bottom line at all. So when you own your own business, you have just like this instinctfulness about it, and you have to be able to make yourself get to the office, make the awkward phone call or tell someone that they didn't get the house and the hard things. So being a self-starter is absolutely number one, because there's so much to learn, especially in the real estate industry, that you will not learn if you just stay at home by yourself. You have to come in and network with people and really get in front of a lot of people to learn, both from your fellow agents as well as, just through experience of doing it.
Great. Well, thank you so much
Mhm.
for sharing all of this stuff. Thank you for your time and for your insights. Before we go, is there anything else that you'd like to share with the students watching?
I'm happy to answer any further questions that they have. I think this is just a crack in the door. There's so much more information and there's just so much to learn about real estate. Whether you're looking into the residential side or the commercial side, I'm here to answer anything you have and meet or anything that they need. So just let me know.
All right. Well, thank you so much again for your time and for your insights. And thank you to all the students who are watching right now and to those of you that submitted questions and chose to take this opportunity to learn more about things that you can potentially do in your future. You guys are doing yourselves a huge favor by choosing to watch this and to expose yourself to as many career options as possible. For those of you that plan on doing the extra credit assignment, please make sure you do complete the little follow-up assignment that goes along with this interview. I'll be happy to help you out with that. But I will see you all in class. And Lauren, one more time, thank you so much for everything you shared today. And I will see you around town.
Thank you, Bill.
All right. Take care.